A hook is a pattern interrupt that starts off your video, and at its best, it will grab your viewer's attention and build enough curiosity to get them to watch the first 10 to 15 seconds of your ad. But what exactly is a pattern interrupt, and how can you create one consistently with replicable results? Welcome back everyone to yet another ad breakdown. Today, we'll be breaking down the psychology behind the hook of a video as requested by Martinez. Thank you, Martinez. Hope this helps you answer some questions you may have about hooks. All right, let's jump right into it. What is a hook? The idea of interrupting a pattern to get a desired outcome comes from neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, which is a pseudoscientific approach to communications, personal development, and psychotherapy. The practice is all about finding ways to break strong, unconscious patterns or habits that we built up in the course of our lives and create new patterns to achieve specific goals, like, for example, losing weight or quitting smoking. Tony Robbins is famous for using this technique live in his seminars to create what appears to be miraculous and sometimes impossible change in an instant.
And what if you took the bag and you put it in a little rocket and you shot it into the sun?
And when it comes to social media platforms like Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, they are very much aware of the power of psychological patterns and are in fact masters of creating very deeply engraved psychological cravings in our brains. They use methods similar to the gambling industry to keep people hooked on their sites. So, if you're advertising on these slot machine-like platforms and you want to create a great hook for your ad, then if we break it down, what you're trying to do is find a way to interrupt this lucid, very much unconscious scrolling pattern or loop that your customers are in. This is exactly what a great hook does. The qualities of a great hook. A good hook in any ad will have at least a few of these elements, and a great hook will have all 5 of these qualities. The qualities being, number 1, it's intellectually curious. Number 2, it's emotionally stimulating. Number 3, it provides an opportunity for the viewer. 4, it is relevant to your specific audience. And 5, it presents the product and shows the brand. To better explain how to create a hook that has all of these elements, I want to refer you to an ebook by Joe Schrieffer, who is the director of copywriting for Agora Financial, a company that in 2017 had a turnover of $248 million from selling financial research products. In his ebooks, he compares headlines from the same products but presents them in 2 totally different ways. One headline reads, "Get rich with dividend stocks." Nothing new here, nothing overtly intellectually curious or emotionally stimulating. Following this, he gives another example, but presents the product in a totally different way. Americans can now legally piggyback off of Canadian Social Security to earn anywhere between $400 and $4,700 extra income each month. Do you see the difference? It's the same general concept, making money with dividend stocks, but presented in an emotionally compelling, intellectually stimulating way that presents it as an opportunity and a benefit for the reader. The hook of your video should aim to do the exact same thing, except instead of relying on words, we need to more heavily rely on visuals to communicate these qualities. Let's take a look at an example that does this really well. Do you see how the first 4 seconds hit all the 5 points that we highlighted? All right, let's have a look here. So, first of all, we're not spoon-fed exactly what the product is from the very beginning, but we do see that it creates a hilarious emotional response. By doing this, we hit 2 birds with 1 stone. It is both emotionally stimulating and intellectually curious. Following that, we see a title, "Send Love from a Distance with Bump," thus creating an opportunity for the viewer to do something special for the people they care, hitting the 3rd component of a great hook. Please note the language used here. Boomph doesn't talk about a surprise box, which is what the product is, but about the love you can send, which is the value the product gives to its customers. Always be customer focused with the copy you use in your ads. There is no quicker way to lose your audience's attention than to be focused on the product's bells and whistles. People always want to know what the product can do for them. Always. Which brings us to the next point, your audience. The hook of your video needs to be relevant and relatable to your audience. The hook on Boomph features what could be a couple or maybe a couple of friends in their 30s. there's no question who this product is for from the very first frame alone. Chances are that the demographics for the ad set of this ad reflect that, and they probably have variations with different people ages for different demographics. And this makes total sense. If your product is, say, for instance, in the baby niche, then it may not make the most sense to start your video with a single man, even though later on we might learn that he's a father of a little baby. It is much better to open with the baby and the father image right away from the start. And the final thing the hook does great is that from the very first second of the video, we see the product, the brand, and what it stands for. If we saw the hook and only the hook of the video, we would have a very good understanding of what the product does and could easily identify the brand. The reason why it is so important to show your brand and logo early and often is because most people, being 95 to 99% of the people that see your ad, will only see the first 2 to 3 seconds. If you wait more than 2 to 3 seconds to show your product or brand, you miss the opportunity to introduce them to almost 100% of the people that you're spending your advertising budget on. Think about that. I want to make a note here that this sort of hook would apply to any stage of your funnel, but it is most relevant to top of funnel audiences. The reason being is that once your customers are familiar with your brand, they may not need a hook that has all these 4 or 5 elements in them to help them make that purchasing decision. They may be looking for reassurance and credibility to help them convince themselves that they can trust you. This is where reviews from credible or aspirational people that look like something you may see on social media may be a lot more effective than the elements mentioned earlier. We found that a hook which has some or all 5 of these elements is effective for problem-solving products across the board, and we do believe that all products do solve some sort of a problem. Here are a few more examples of just a few different hooks in different niches to show exactly what we mean. If you're wondering where do we find these ads and how do we know that they're effective, well, it's because we use AdBox. AdBox consolidates a bunch of high-performing videos and image ads from credible agencies from around the world. They didn't pay us to promote them, they just let us use their service for free when making these videos, and this literally helped to massively reduce the amount of time that we put into researching them. If you're looking for some inspiration, then we definitely recommend you checking out AdBox at meetadbox.com. We'll leave a link down below. Putting it all together. Now, I know what you're saying. Ed, this is great and I get it, but how can I apply all of this into the ads that I'm running today? Well, the answer is that there is no quick or easy way to create truly original hooks with great pattern interrupts. Original ideas take time to develop, and interrupting patterns means creating something new or something that has never been done before, which is, by definition, never easy. When Facebook started to get good at retargeting people for the first time in their funnels, everyone who saw an ad from a website they visited was interrupted because it never happened to them before. People literally thought Facebook was listening on their conversations. It completely broke the pattern we talked about earlier. Today, the jig's up. Everyone and their grandmother are conditioned to seeing ads from companies they've expressed an interest in, and it's quite simply become part of our pattern, or otherwise known as the Facebook user experience. But by having a deep understanding of what a hook or a pattern interrupt is, and the persuasive and visual elements that make one up, with enough effort, you can highly increase the chances of creating something that's not only original, but also very effective. When doing research for this particular video, I came across an article called 49 Practice Pattern Breaking Techniques and Tips in NLP. And the suggestions I found there were extremely insightful and totally applied to advertising. Tip number 5 was do the opposite of what someone says. And it just seemed to make so much sense. It was a total penny drop moment for me. See, one of the most successful viral social media ads of the last 10 years is Squatty Potty by Harmon Brothers.
This is where your ice cream comes from. The creamy poop of a mystic unicorn. Totally clean, totally cool, and soft served straight from a sphincter.
After looking through the article, I began to realize that the whole ad was based off of this one simple pattern interrupt technique. See, in the beginning of the ad, well, throughout the ad, they speak about poop and colons, but they show ice cream and unicorns, which is quite literally doing the opposite of what you're saying, or in that particular case, showing the opposite of what you're saying.
The Squatty Potty. No, Squatty Potty is not a joke. And yes, it will give you the best poop of your life.
Hope the work that we put in here help you guys better understand what a great hook is and how you can create one to hopefully boost the ROAS for your own product through the roof. If you'd like to see more content about ads and the psychology behind them, please consider subscribing to our channel. We'll have more content like this coming out on a weekly basis. Thank you for watching, and we'll hope to see you in the next one.